If you are someone who is wanting to switch up your career to something that is completely soul aligned, something that fulfills you, gives you joy, lights you up, really coming here to do the work that you came here to do, and you're having a hard time figuring out what exactly that is, this video is for you. In this video, I'm going to share what I would do right now if this was me. First thing I'm going to do though, before I go into that, is I'm going to share what I see most people doing that's not helping them move forward. Basically, the most common mistake I see when people are looking to figure out what it is. And here's the thing, it is extremely common, first of all. So if you're doing it yourself, not to worry, because it is extremely common. Everything I share about common mistakes I see and everything I talk about is because I did it myself. So I wasted a lot of time doing things the wrong way, which also gives me the insight of knowing what actually works, okay? And here's the third thing I want to mention about that is most of us weren't taught how to find something that really lights us up. Most of us were taught how to find a job that pays the bills. So how can we be expected to just know how to figure out something that's actually going to light us up, where we get to use our gifts and our unique zones of genius and brilliance, right? It's asking a lot of ourselves. It's a pretty high expectation to place on yourself. I mean, I know I did it, so I know there's others who do that as well. So what I see people doing is going through their resume, whether that's, in their head mentally or like going through it on their computer, and they're looking at all their jobs they had, their whole career, and they're looking at all the things they've done really well in their career, right? So they make a list of all the skills, all the experience, maybe projects, things they've done where they did it really well, they did a really good job at it, people told them they've done amazing, they make a list of those things, and then they somehow go through their mind and figure, well, I could take those skills and I can move them into this career or that career over here. And they make this list of potential careers they could move into. But what I know about that list is that for the most part, that doesn't light people up. I don't know anybody who's ever gone off that list. If you look at that list of jobs that you've gone, well, I could do it, and it doesn't light you up, it doesn't inspire you, it doesn't get excited, what I can tell you is it's not on that list. Burn the list, okay? Because if you're looking for something that aligns with your soul and makes you feel fulfilled, just thinking about it should get you inspired. It should make you feel lighter. It should make you feel expansive and joyful. So if those jobs on that list don't, that's not it. And I mean, honestly, I've talked to many people, and I did it myself, where I've actually looked for jobs on that list. And either people have gone and moved and changed jobs and discovered it wasn't it, or they just spend a lot of time looking at different job postings and nothing lights them up. So ignore that list. Okay, this is what I want you to do instead. There is so much value and information in your resume, but it's about how you sort through it to find the right information that's gonna help bring you towards that career that really lights you up. Okay, so what do I mean? I said in the first part where people tend to go off the rails is they look at all the things they've done where they were really good at it, okay? But there's a big difference between being good at something and really loving something. Massive difference. You can be really good at something and hate it. Well, guess what? You're not going to be happy. So what I want you to do is go through that resume and pick out the areas of your resume that you loved doing. And guess what? It could only be 10% of your resume. It might be a really small part of your resume. I don't care how small it is. Write it down. Start making a new list. This is the list of things that light you up, okay? This is this list. So go through it. Now, when you're going through this, you might have to look at, say you were on a specific project and your role in this project was XYZ and you loved it. Write that down. These aren't going to be the big parts. So you might have to spend a little bit of time really going through and sifting through what you've done. What I also want you to do is look back on your career and all your jobs, and were there things that you did that no one asked you to do? Like you just decided on your own accord, this needed to be done and you went for it. Because chances are you did that because it lit you up. There was something there behind that caused you to take that action. So I'm going to give you an example of my career when I was in corporate as a CPA. So when I was a CPA, something I did off the side of my desk that was nothing to do with my job, but I did anyways, was I would have people come into my office fairly regularly, and like they would come into my office for coaching. I didn't really call it coaching. People used to joke. You know from Charlie Brown how Lucy had that sign, like psychiatrist sign, that she had like the 5-cent jar there? That was me in my office. People would come in with problems that they needed, solutions with. We would talk through things. I'd help them like pick out the pieces that were important so they could take steps to move forward. I loved this. Nobody asked me to do this. I don't even really know if the company appreciated it or not, but it didn't matter because it lit me up. The other thing I would do is I'd always be doing proposals, making suggestions of trainings the team could get, trainings or like programs or some sort of seminars, something like I could see a gap. We didn't have a skill set or we need to learn something. And I would like do all the research. I'd be like, hey, this course or program will be awesome for the team. Because I'm all about, finding the gaps of what needs to shift, right? And finding solutions and getting the training and learning and all this kinds of things, right? Those were big pieces. It's not part of being a CPA. However, I did it. So where in your career are you doing something just off the side of your desk or whatever it might look like, or done it in the past? Because I can guarantee you there's gold there. Write that down on what lights you up and don't try to make sense of it. Don't go into, well, how am I going to make this work? You're not at that point here. Just write it down. I also want you to look at your career, and this is really important. I cannot tell you how many times I see this come up. Look at the times in your career where your employer hasn't liked what you've done. They have, maybe you've even been reprimanded for something, or you've toned yourself down. You've hidden a big part of yourself because it's not been accepted very well in the past. I can't tell you how many times I work with women and they're almost scared to talk about something because they're like, oh, people have been perceiving that as negative, yet it's their zone of genius. Okay, there's something here. So again, I'm going to share from my personal experience. One of the things about me that it drove employers crazy is I am super, super curious. Like I got to get to the root of something. Like people will say, oh, it's time to move on. I'm like, no, unless we get to the root of it, we're not going to fix the problem. And I got myself, quote unquote, into trouble in the past for that. However, in my current career as a coach, damn, does that ever come in handy? Like that's actually what most people want. They want a coach who can get to the root of the problem so we can fix it and move forward, right? But let me tell you, that was not well received in accounting many, many times. So go through your career and look at the areas where maybe you've toned yourself down, held yourself back to try to fit in. Because that's the name of the game in corporate a lot of the time, right? Is trying to fit in if you're not in the right place. Okay. Write all those things down. The next thing I want you to do is look at your personal life and look at what you spend hundreds, maybe even thousands of hours on, because again, there's gold there. And it's not always what you're doing, it's also the experience behind it. So I'll give you an example. Say you coach sports on the side. Maybe you love planning events. Maybe you like pulling people together. Maybe you like organizing things. There's hints there as well. Write those all down. That is the first step to figuring out what your career is, to assess everything and collect all the data and sort through everything and only focusing in on what lights you up. It's not to say those other pieces aren't going to play a part, because chances are they will, they always do. However, they're probably going to play more of a supporting role than the main role. These other pieces that light you up need to come to the forefront.